being offered on screen. Yeah? So I can choose now. I'm in control. Yeah? I can watch the film. It's okay. Yeah? But I now in control. And that's what students seem to be wanting as well. Yeah? And they seem to be wanting to do that. So that's one thing. One of the tasks now, on the basis of our discussion, for me would be, can you try and write down two things? The one thing is, what was maybe the most significant thing amongst all the millions of things that we mentioned and talked about? So that would be one thing. And then, what do I take away with me now and say, actually, when I get back now, whenever it is in a few days, this is the thing I want to do, and this is the thing I want to try, and why. So could you try and reflect on that person? Then we have a few minutes sharing views on that. For you personally, yes? Yeah. It could be something that you profoundly disagree with, yeah? Or it could be something that you know.
We go the right with positive approach.
If you're actually quicker than your other colleagues in doing that, and rather than having to wait, here's another little slide of things that might be useful. My colleague, Professor Diana Lorilab, also from the Institute of Education, in a chapter she wrote for a book I edited recently, outlines here the following sorts of types of activity and things that she thinks technology can help with and can support. But I didn't want to distract you from your task. I just need to, I don't know how much time we have.
What I picked up is that any device, be it in any form,
yes,
can be put to the educative tools.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
From the side of mobile to,
yes,
to laptops and whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And how I think we can connect it to our activities back in school is that we can give to students tasks based on use of these things, so that when they take active part in it, they come up with something.
Absolutely, that might be one legitimate thing of doing it.
We do have, the ESO system does have a very sophisticated lab, variety lab, and
we obviously have a very good technological infrastructure, but in my own personal work and teaching, I'm a strong believer in using open source options. Yeah? So all the sort of stuff that I find on the web, and I'll tell you why. The one reason is I work with student teachers, and I cannot assume that they have the same facilities that I have. Yeah? So I got to work, if I want to show them something, I only really want to do that if they can then use it, not just, oh, here's something nice, and by the way, you can use that to the student. And then they can then use these resources with their learners in whatever context they operate. So that's one of the reasons why I'm inclined to operate in that sort of way. So can we have a few sort of key things that people...
Yes, just like, it's just sitting in my mind that the way you said it, instead of wasting 100 minutes in the classroom and telling them something about it, I would rather write it down on the web quests.
Yeah.
This is one thing that happens with me. I read something, I come across something, and I keep on sharing it in the class, and my lesson is left behind. And I feel so bad about it because I have a pressure of completing the curriculum within the stipulated time, fulfilling the CIE requirements. So I will be trying to, get into the web quest thing, so I don't waste time here.
You reminded me of something very important. Very often, when we look at technologies, they come with the support of a massive lobby, business wanting to sell as many units as possible. And often, certainly in the UK, there has sort of been a tendency of being persuaded to buy the stuff and then not knowing what to do with it. And one of the things I think is very important when we talk about technology, we need to start to talk about learning first. We need to talk about the learning outcomes that we want to achieve. And then we need to go and say, and what tools, what technologies, what applications within the context that I'm working, within my reach, might we be using now in order to achieve this particular outcome most effectively, most interestingly, and so forth. Yeah?
I think you have introduced us and reminded us of the new world of technology, the brave new world of technology. You have placed an emphasis on the process. And as you are just now saying, the outcome seems to be not there in discussion. Even in the learning practice, the list that you showed, the element of reflection was limited, which means the values, the good judgment system, the values of community, of identity, of the recognition and the respect for difference in a world driven by technology. Where do the human beings go? Where do the children go? Where is the values that should have guided them? Because one last thing, in this process, it's not integrated. It's becoming disintegrated, differentiated.
I agree in many ways. Technology are profoundly ideological and are designed and created very often not with the specific context in which they're going to be used in mind. So, but because of their ubiquity, they're everywhere, we start to forget about the ideological underpinnings, the values inherent in them, and don't question that often enough. And that's where we as teachers come in, making those sorts of important judgments and making sure that the needs of the individuals are being met, but also equipping learners who encounter and meet these technologies as media consumers in their everyday life with the wherewithal to reflect critically on whatever they are seeing and experiencing, to ask those sorts of questions. So that's why I think the role of the teacher in all of this is so important. You wanted to come in?
I was just about to say this, that this process has got lots of strategies. If we feel that one of the strategies is not working in the classroom or in the lab plan, we can always switch over to the next strategy. Whereas in the classroom we are restricted to a limited amount of strategies and it's difficult to switch over quickly from one to the next one. So it is providing more number of strategies.
Once it's in the system, I think it won't.
Yes, and I think the important thing is also teachers sharing with each other what works for them and using maybe social networking tools to do that. Yeah. So yes.
I'd like to add one thing that I can easily use blogs, which you have just introduced. Though I had studied through blogs in my MBA in particular, and it never came to me that I can use it with my students also. So I guess that was one very good thing.
There is a huge body of literature out there actually documenting how useful blogs can be for developing writing skills in learners.
The role of the teacher using technology has become even more important. Although the teacher has become facilitator, but the teacher has to teach. I'm coming back to the point we were talking about earlier. The teacher needs to teach the learners in analytical skills so that they may be able to differentiate between facts and opinions and form their own judgment, so that the information technology coming into different sources can be sorted out, and then they can use it according to the cultural structures and wherever they are.
I think it's the same as if one can make a point that books are more important than teachers. No, the teachers are more important than books. We don't have to prove the importance of the teachers. We have to prove the importance of the books. You know, teachers are facilitators with the books as well. Why not with the technology?
So one of the things I think give more chance of discussion. It might be worth just moving into tables now for a little while and trying to share with each other our reflections on those two things that I've just said to you. What are the most significant things, and how could I possibly see myself go away and use this now? And then if we do that for about 15-20 minutes around the tables, how we're sitting, and then we come back again to the plenary later on and maybe try and share some of these thoughts. Yeah? Could I just ask you to sort of group around? And maybe we just need to move the table
So they get fed up in the day. Now, if you're using this every day, by the time they get fed up, they might not be interested in it.
Pen and pencil can be used in one way.
You
can use in 100 ways. Why not?
How they use technology.
There are so many things available on the planet. You can keep checking. Technology is more vibrant.
It has become a ritual. But
with the pen and pencil, it's not that you have to write. You can draw. You can make patterns. There are lots of things with pen and paper as well. It's not that only you have to write. People express while drawing.
Using technology just to show that
Good book.
and it's the time to consult the book. And if it is not available on the internet, if book and paper is not available, then they have to browse the net. So that is the same. This is where the role of the teacher is.
We've got somebody ready. Okay, please, yeah? And please don't just talk to me, talk to everybody in the room, yeah?
In my opinion, the first significant point of taking a workshop is this. This is a teacher who should know that which technological tool is appropriate for assigning tasks. And number two, students should also be liberal to find their own ways for understanding. For example, if we assign them any task, then if they want to use books, they should be. If they want to search on internet, they should be. We should not restrict